Welcome to a new day of truth and awakening, and thank you all for tuning in to another edition of the original histories of Africa and migrations of the ancient world. I am your King and Royal Majesty, Pharaoh Mizraim, historical researcher, geographer, and the voice of truth. And today I will be teaching on the subject, African Americans are the biblical Egyptians, truth in the map. But before we get started, be sure to look below, subscribe to this channel, comment, like, and share. Thank you. When it comes to the topic, who are the biblical and historical ancestors of African Americans, so much dishonesty based on opinions is being taught, while the truth in the ancient historical primary source is being ignored. But here on this video, we will show and entertain the truth in the primary source and find out the answer to the question, who are the biblical and historical ancestors of African Americans? No more waiting for the truth. Let us begin our lesson and start at the book of Genesis chapter 10 verse 6, and it says, "And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan." Genesis chapter 10 verse 13, Mizraim begot Ladim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim. According to the book of Genesis chapter 10, the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Mizraim were Ladim, Anamim, Lehabim, and Naphtuhim. But let's keep our focus on two words, Phut and Lehabim. And now the question comes, who is the first and earliest writer to ever give a geographical location for the sons of Ham and the sons of Mizraim in the Bible? And the answer is the Jewish historian known as Josephus Flavius, who lived in the 1st century AD. And being that Josephus Flavius was the first to ever give a geographical location for the biblical table of nations, we are going to credit Josephus Flavius as the one and only sole authority on this subject. And here in his book titled Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 130, Josephus says in quotes, "The memory also of the Mizrahites is preserved in their name. For all we who inhabit the country of Judea called Egypt Mystery, and the Egyptians Mesrians. Phut was also the founder of Libya, and called the inhabitants Phutites from himself. There is also a river in the country of the Moors which bears that name." The greatest part of the Grecian historiographers mention that river in the adjoining country by the appellation of Phut. But the name, it has now been changed by one of the sons of Mizraim, who was called Libyos. According to what we just read, Josephus states the biblical Phut was located in the land of Libya, and the name Phut survived in the country of the Moors. But later on, Phut was changed to Libya by the colonies and sons of Mizraim who came from Egypt. But the question is, where was the land of the Moors located? And for the location of the land of the Moors, who are known to ancient writers as Marusians and Mari, we will go to the ancient Greek geographer known as Strabo, who lived in the 1st century BCE. And in his book titled Geography, Book 17, Chapter 3, he says in quote, "This then is my account of Libya as a whole, but I must describe it in detail, beginning with its western or more famous parts. Here dwell a people whom the Greeks call Marusians, and the Romans and the natives Mari, a large and prosperous Libyan tribe who live on the side of the strait opposite Iberia. Here also is the strait which is at the Pillars of Hercules." According to Strabo, and as shown on the map here, the Moors or Marusians were a Libyan tribe living in Libya near the Pillars of Hercules, known today as the Straits of Gibraltar. And as we can see on the map, The Moors were located towards the far extreme west of Egypt, and this is the true location for the land of the Moors and the westernmost boundaries for Libya and Foot. Now we will focus on Genesis chapter 10 verse 7, and it says, "And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Sabta and Raamah and Sabtaka, and the sons of Raamah, Sheba and Dedan. And these are the sons of Cush according to Genesis 10 and 7. But let's keep our focus on one son of Cush, Dedan or Dedan. And to find out who were the descendants of Dedan and the location of Dedan, let us go to Josephus Flavius, Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, 130, and he says in quote, "And Ragmus, the Ragmeans, and he had two sons, the one of whom, Judadas, settled the Judadians, a nation of the western Ethiopians." And here's a secondary source of Josephus Flavius from a writer known as Saint Jerome, who lived in the 3rd century AD. And in his book titled Hebrew Questions on Genesis, he says in quote, "The sons of Cush were Saba and Havilah and Sabata and Regma. The sons of Regma were Saba and Dedan. Dedan is a people in the western regions of Ethiopia." According to the sources we just read, both Josephus and Saint Jerome stated the descendants of Dedan, son of Cush, dwelt in the land of the western Ethiopians. The question is, where was the land of the western Ethiopians located? And for the location of the western Ethiopians, let us again go to the ancient Greek geographer Strabo, and in his book, The Geography, Book 17, Chapter 3, he says in quote, "Above Maruja on the outside sea lies the country of the western Ethiopians." Strabo, Book 2, Chapter 5, Paragraph 15, and he says in quote, "The land of the western Ethiopians, they are the most remote people south of the territory of Carthage." According to Strabo, the land of the western Ethiopians was located on the seacoast above or south of the Marusians or Moors, and far remote south of Carthage. Now, when we put the two together and look on the map here, we see the only seacoast far south of Carthage is the coast of modern-day Nigeria, Benin, and Ghana on the Atlantic. And this is the true location for the land of the western Ethiopians, the descendants of Dedan, sons of Cush. And concerning the etymology and origins of the words Cush and Libya, it is a well-known historical fact that the words Cush and Libya are Egyptian words derived from the ancient Egyptian writings and used by the ancient Egyptians to refer to Africans whom they reached and settled amongst. And the Cushites to the south and southwest of Egypt got the name Cushite due to their intermixture with the Egyptians. And the Libyans to the west, extreme west, and southwest got the name Libyan due to their intermixture with the Egyptians. And this is a historical fact. So there it is. As we all just witnessed and seen with our own eyes, the truth in the map, based on the writings of ancient historians who lived during the time and knew who was who in the ancient world. And this is why modern-day maps such as this is false, because those who wish to hide the truth knew that all land called Libya was ancient Egyptian territory. And this is why modern-day map makers attempted to decrease the territory of Libya and confined it to the regions near Egypt only. But now we know the true Libya was all the land west of the Nile River, from Egypt in the east to Morocco in the west, and from Cush in the east to the land of the western Ethiopians in the extreme west. And this is the true territory and boundaries settled by the Egyptians. And this is also the land where the ancestors of African Americans were taken from as slaves. I arrest my case. So there it is. According to the ancient primary source and according to ancient historians, the biblical and historical ancestors of African Americans were indeed the descendants of Mizraim or Egypt, dwelling in the extreme western parts of Africa. And this is why it is important we allow ancient sources to speak for the ancient world. The modern man cannot speak for the ancient world. The modern man can only speak for the modern world. And if the modern man attempts to speak for the ancient world without any ancient sources to back him up, then that is what we call pseudo-history. But the lies and adopting false identities and the fakery ends now. But we must accept the truth because the truth is right there in our face. And truth is, we African Americans are the biblical and historical Egyptians according to the Bible. And with that said, this is your brother Pharaoh Mizraim signing out saying, until next time, Egypt stays in Africa. Peace, Hotep, Amun Ra, and may you all have a wonderful day.